And hello and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Quick Study Best of 3 Challenge 7. My name is Alex and let's start our 7th Best of 3 match. Yeah, sorry about that, and let's just go. Hopefully everything works fine. So, yep. In this matchup, RippyG faced Enginowich. I don't know how to properly read this nickname. There is a possibility that it might be some type of a Russian related. Kind of, maybe it's like Evgeniyevich. But I don't know. I'm not sure. So let's just read it Enginowich. Doesn't matter. So, taking this hand was definitely risky. The only reason why I took it because I 100% was sure that I will get at least one forest at least in 3 turns. Which we'll see if we're actually going to get there. By the way, for some reason, game was lagging. I don't know why. It was like right away after a update with the new patch. Because of this, it was kind of weird. It lagged a bit. So basically, these lags are not the problem with videos. This is the problem with the game itself when it was recorded. Again. This is a part of the currently running Undercity Coliseum community tournament from 7. I'm facing Enginowich. My opponent plays a Selesnya deck, which is pretty strong. I mean, it's definitely going to be a hard one to actually win this one. Of course, we still continue to play with the Golgari version of the deck. With the tournament version, I decided in this matchup not change the deck in the second match, and played with the same version. So usually in a second game, I'm changing the deck. This was the first time that I decided not to change it because basically my original deck is the only deck that might fight pretty well against this deck if we will get lucky enough. So the problem here that we still didn't get any mana. Turn 3 and we're still not getting any mana, and this is already starts to become a pretty big problem. Getting a third mana and putting Plague Mare onto the battlefield kind of seems good. Although ideally I would wait for it, but I know that if I'm not going to do it now, it's going to just become worse because at some point the opponent will put in play, I believe, either Elf or Dryad that basically will give all creatures +1/+1, and it's basically kind of, the opponent already has enough mana for it, so I decided to actually use Plague Mare previous turn. Although ideally against this deck, if this deck doesn't have any so-called buffers, we would be able to use it. Of course I might wait for a turn or more, but I actually kind of had a plan to put Plague Mare, then put Twilight Prophet, then put basically gather mana until we'll get to Raska or Multani, and basically if I would get to them, they would definitely give me a little bit of a chance, although opponent has lots of removal for my cards. Still, we would have Twilight Prophet in game and basically slowly drain the opponent. So at this point everything seems right, like nothing bad except the fact that we don't have any green mana, which is kind of a problem now, but still. And slowly, of course, opponent kind of pressing us. Yeah, while match is progressing, yeah, this is the worst case scenario. While match is progressing, quick reminder that MTG Quick Study and Best of 3 in this instance episodes this is basically a series of short episodes that focuses on learning from my own matches by rewatching and trying to analyze them. So this is the 7th round of Undercity Coliseum community tournament, as I said before, where we slowly, last couple of rounds was pretty bad. Were pretty bad because I know now that my deck is super bad. I mean, first couple of rounds I thought, okay, I'm just not getting lucky enough, like against matchups and etc. But the more decks I faced, and again I faced mono green. This is the only deck that I won against. we faced we supposed to face mono red in the previous round and a couple of two previous rounds. We didn't manage to do this. We fought against two Zs and we fought against two Greeks' controls. So ideally, I could say that I basically got to bad matchups. So I won only against potential mono red because of the opponent dropped out, but I don't know if I actually would win against the actual mono red. And also I didn't, and also I won against mono green. But every time that I faced something different, I'm basically losing. And the more I get into this, the more I understand, of course, that my deck is kind of bad. And now it's clearer than before, because again, I'm definitely having shortage of lands, and next turn we're dying regardless. So like, I know that I'm going to die, so at least I will cast at least one creature before ending this match. By the way, turns out that this thing basically kind of annoyed my opponent. I didn't intend it to do so. I mean, I just wanted to cast something. It was just like, this is usually the thing that I'm doing. I know that I'm going to lose. Blocking wouldn't solve anything. I just want to play all cards that I can play just for the sake of playing properly. But this was kind of a trigger for opponent for some reason. I don't know why. And opponent kind of was not happy about me doing this, so it was definitely a weird one. So yep, let's just make quick yeah, we waited opponent for quite some time. We kind of chatted a bit. So yep, this is our second match apparently. Let's just continue. So in second match I decided to take the same deck, decided not to change anything, because again I actually had a chance to get somewhere, and this match actually was better. I mean, we completely got destroyed in the first one, but the second one was actually kind of not necessarily close, but at least it was at least some type of a competition. I mean, in terms of what I like put in play, what opponent had, and this match was truly an interesting one. So this was probably one of the most kind of competitive matches that I had in the tournament so far, because usually I'm completely getting destroyed by opponent and it's super bad, and this match was kind of not necessarily that. I kind of thought that in this match opponent like completely destroying me in the first match, decided not to play that much in the first game, but like in first couple of like turns. So I don't know if it was intentional in terms of like some type of a strategy, or opponent just basically decided, okay, this guy can't play, so let's just play a little bit more kind of calm game and not play any spells, because usually like this mono white already on turn 3 has at least like 3 or 4, or like at least 3 creatures in play, and the fact that we're still not seeing any creatures kind of seems weird to me. So there was a good chance that opponent just basically decided, okay, whatever, you can't play, so let's just have fun in this match. Although then talking with my opponent kind of a bit, turns out that my opponent not necessarily one of those people who just plays Magic for necessarily the fun element of the experience of the game. It's probably the wins are more important for the opponent, I guess. At least this is it was my kind of view on this. I might of course be mistaken. Yeah. So one of the things that, of course, I waited for this Driada in the first game. It didn't came, so our opponent just killed us without it. So I wouldn't say that Huatli is going to create that big of a trouble for us. I mean, one of the reasons why I decided not to target her is because opponent, of course, has a pretty solid defense. It is pretty hard to penetrate. We don't have any creatures to penetrate defense. But one of the good things about this match that I have lots of awesome blockers that it's pretty hard to kill. So opponent never going to target my grappling Sandus, because opponent has only 4 conclave tribunals, I believe, and by basically spending those on creatures that can't hurt you, it's just kind of a weird thing. So we're getting kind of enough mana. We still need more green here, ideally, but yeah, I'm not going to do that this turn. I kind of will do this on my turn after blocking. We need to get some draws. So in terms of what I get right from the beginning in this match was actually pretty decent. I mean, this was one of the first matches that actually that everything kind of was right from the beginning. We got proper cards, we didn't have troubles with lands, we have land of our else in case we were going to have a problem with the second forest. So in general, the game is actually kind of progressing kind of fine. I mean, we have more cards than opponent. We're going to draw 2 additional ones, so we're kind of slowly blocking. Opponent is not pressing us that much. So far this seems pretty decent. We got Darkfleet Prisoner. If opponent decides to attack with a bigger creature, we will be able to kill it, which is pretty cool. So at this point, I'm starting to kind of gain a false hope that okay, this match might actually get in our way. But again, the only problem that I have now is the Huatli, because once she will get, again, she gains loyalty counters equal to the creatures under an opponent's control, and the more opponents will put creatures, the bigger Huatli will become. Then with -X ability, by removing an X amount of counters from her, you will basically will be able to put basically buff your creatures. And since opponent has lots of creatures with lifelink, this is exactly the strategy that opponent will utilize. Opponent will basically start to attack with 2/2s, making them bigger, and until opponent will put flyers in play, and basically just slowly force me to sacrifice one by one creature, without necessarily losing them, because they will become that big because of the Huatli's ability to become a pretty big planeswalker. So I don't know if it's probably a right decision. I mean, ideally I probably should kill one. Oh no, I could. It's a legendary creature, so this was the only play for me personally. Okay, keeping 2 mana to utilize Direfleet Prisoner. So of course Twilight Prophet here is our chance to win the game. But there is a good chance that opponent is going to remove it right away. Hopefully not though, but at least like one turn, if Twilight Prophet worked, it would be awesome. If I would gain something big and basically drained opponent quite a lot and gain some life, but I doubt that is going to happen though. So yeah, so far match progresses in pretty interesting way. I mean, now this is a problem. Opponent basically plants like 2 copies of Histories of Benalia that I believe are right from the beginning opponent had, just didn't play them. Because again, usually my deck is not threatening opponent directly. It's like more like an indirect threat. Most of my creatures, and the whole point of this deck is a passive threat. When we're not necessarily attacking opponent in the face, but instead waiting for a big combination starts to come, and draining opponents somewhat passively by utilizing Slime Food ability, also Poison Departure for that. If creatures are dying, of course, it slowly drains opponent. Twilight Prophet keeping it in defense, does the same. So yeah, opponent basically got like a 3rd copy of Conclave Tribunal, which is super annoying. I mean, come on. It's kind of, it was pretty disappointing. I mean, we're going to analyze the opponent's deck, and in the end we will see how many Conclave Tribunals opponent actually had. And the good thing is that now I will basically continue to start to produce lots of Saprolings, which is pretty sick. Ideally I need Tender Shoot Dried, and I have only 2 copies of it in this deck, so I'm probably not going to get it. I don't remember. Even if I will do, it doesn't matter, because we're not going to be able to penetrate opponent's defense. Opponent always going to have a little bit more creatures than we have, even if we're going to put a second Saproling Migration in play. So again, starting from next turn, opponent will 100% start to utilize -X on Huatli and make our flying hawk opponent's flying hawk bigger, and basically starts to do the same as opponent is doing now with the soldier. Basically forces to block. Good thing that we have lots of planeswalkers, so sapper lanes, which basically will help us to block a bit. Of course, I want to kill bigger creature. Why not? Opponent doesn't have anything that I could use directly prisoner on, so yep. Yeah, so basically I'm not going to lose my grappling Sanduce, and I'm just going to lose one directly prisoner by killing an 11/11 creature, which is good. Okay then, so, and again, opponent got like pretty lucky with everything that opponent has, like lots of mana, the ability to produce additional token each turn, at least now 2 tokens because it has more than enough mana to do so. Again, it could be a good idea to use Plague Mare if opponent didn't had 1/4 Trostani, or I don't know how to, I don't remember how her name is, what her name is. Yeah, Trostani. So Trostani is basically creates like 1/4 Dryad, creates a lot of problems for me personally here, because that way we would be able to remove at least like, I don't know, 3 creatures. But yeah, I didn't get any removal for for legendary creature right from the start. What I would waited for is the Raska's Contempt. Other thing that I would need is a more flyer blockers. Like for instance right here, I probably made a huge mistake. Knowing that opponent has a hawk that opponent will make bigger and bigger and bigger each turn, I could choose not to put Sapperling Migration, instead keeping mana in order to make Grappling Sanduce indestructible, and basically kind of block big flyer without losing a flyer blocker. It could help me, it could save me a lot of kind of things. Here, this is probably not a good idea too, but I decided, okay, let's just at least try to drain opponent, because at this point I don't believe that I'm going to win this match. Opponent is going to gain lots of lives from this encounter, probably like more than 50. It's going to be total. So it's going to be pretty annoying what opponent will start to do from now on. I mean, we will block, we will do whatever that we can, but the problem is opponent will continue to gain card advantage. You like, one of the things that I'm waiting for here is Ritual of Suit in order to wipe out the board. So we're going to lose lots of our creatures, but again, at least most of the opponent's creatures will be removed too. Of course, I know that opponent will rebuild pretty quickly, considering the fact that opponent has like 7 cards in hand next turn, and potentially this turn. So yeah, opponent actually gained a lot of lives, but because a lot of triggers of the slime foot happened, opponent still gets to 41. And again, opponent just will continue to press, and the only thing that we're getting is freaking lands. This is pretty annoying. So of course right here, I don't have a choice. I'm probably not going to get anything to remove Tristani. So instead I'm just decided to put Plague Mare in order to block. And of course it's probably a better idea to create Sapperling, although we could keep it in order to make Sandu again indestructible. Again, one of them probably maybe mistake, maybe made a mistake. Instead of creating 1 Sapperling, I could basically go a little bit smarter. Again, when you facing this type of situation and you know that nothing is probably going to solve this situation, and whatever you're going to get is going to be just a temporary solution. Next turn opponent is going to rebuild, because opponent has lots of cheap cards and more than enough mana to play the whole hand. So yeah, now we get into problem, of course, with Shalai. Now we're not going to be able to target other creatures. First we need to kill Shalani before we'll be able to target opponent or the creatures that opponent controls. So at this point, I guess I'm just like, it's just a matter of time before we're going to lose. I don't believe that I'm going to win this one at this point, because again, 7 cards in opponent's hand, we have 0 draws, and our creatures will slowly basically disappear, each blocking phase. And yes, now opponent will be able to make creatures bigger with Shalai, and yep, we got one Lava Elf. And lots of mana. Again, waiting for Ritual of Steel. This is the only thing that could bring me at least some fun in this match. And don't get me wrong, this match was kind of fun at the beginning, but then the longer this match progressed, the worse it got. So one of the things that would make this match a little bit more fun if I would at least get Ritual of Suit, knowing that I'm going to lose in the end, doesn't matter, but at least I would have fun, and at least gives opponents some type of a way to start to worry or whatever. Or again, sometimes it's annoying when you using mass removal, no matter what the stage of the game is, even if you have 7 cards in your hand and you know that you're going to rebuild, it doesn't matter, it's still annoying. So I kind of thought that, I hoped that I'm going to get one. So yeah, while match is finishing, let's just open the thing with the decks, and I will prepare things to analyze the deck with. So game started to lag again, like, yeah, this is our last turn. I decided not to block, it's pointless. Okay, this is hard. This was hurt. This was a lot of damage. Not a lot. Once I got dealt like 200 damage, so it's not that big of a deal though. So that's it, I guess. Yes, this is it. So yeah, so let's just switch now into the quick analysis of opponent's deck and what I could do with the opponent's deck considering my current deck state. So this is the opponent's deck. In terms of the force, like considering the mana fix, of course, one of the things that always gives advantage is the good mana fix. Opponent has more than good mana fix, so super awesome mana fix, and that we didn't have. I already noticed it multiple times. I didn't get a chance to collect all double double mana lands. So instead I put 2 Follower Shards, and one of the things that kind of hurt me is the Memorial of Tufoli. This is not the deck that actually works with Memorial of Tufoli that well, but I still wanted to kind of take it and put it in this deck in order to get some potential returners, because I didn't want to put any cards that could basically return creatures from the graveyard. The idea was if opponent will destroy, for instance, Poison Departure or Twilight Prophet or Thundershoot Dryad, we will be able to return them back. But again, the problem is it's too slow. The strategy of returning and then putting back in play, it's just too slow. And we didn't get into those situations because we play in a competitive Magic. Almost every match is relatively fast. Even if we're playing against a Grixis control or Jixai control, it doesn't matter. These matches will be longer, but since opponent will have a lot of removal, it truly doesn't matter. The longest match is not going to help us to utilize this either. So it's kind of just, I don't know. So whatever. So the first thing, of course, that the opponent had is mana fix. Lots of small creatures, of course, that produce lots of tokens. I would consider this deck as a token deck. Of course, one of the key cards here is Shalai and Tristani. One of the key cards in this deck that basically makes it almost kind of unkillable, because it's pretty hard to kill Tristani 1/4. Also, it's a legendary creature, and it's kind of becomes hard to, like, we need to have lots of removal. I definitely didn't have like 6 removal to kill all of them. So, and at some point opponent might put all of them in play, like 1 by 1. Of course, because they're legendary creatures, you can play multiple copies, but still, I destroy one of them, opponent plays another one. I'm destroying another one, opponent plays third one, and etc. So this would continue, and I would run out of removal at some point. Legion Landing, of course, kind of a good one. 4 copies, why not? It's a pretty good early thing, and later will produce lots of tokens. This is basically opponent probably puts you in order to make additional draws. Usually Dawn of Hope is here for that. So Steal Away, of course, just as a removal. If we will attack, we didn't attack at all because we didn't have a chance. We mostly sit in defense, so I wouldn't fear steal away at all in the match, ideally, because I never attack with this deck usually. I'm kind of passively killing opponent, and if it will attack, I will attack with 100% knowing that opponent is not going to kill my tapped creature. So, of course, 4 copies of History of Benalia, which is whatever, annoying. Only 3 Conclave Tribunals, which is interesting because there was pretty interesting fact that opponent actually had like 3 copies in the first match or in the second match. It was kind of super annoying. I mean, like, what are chances to have like 3 of them right away into the end game? We didn't saw Excellence Binding, so this. I doubt that opponent actually changed this version of the deck. In a second match. Maybe added Leonines though. Didn't saw them. Again, putting Settle the Wreckages would be pointless. We didn't attack. Never saw this card in this deck, but still cool. I kind of waited for this card at some point in the game too. Didn't get it. And 2 Dawn of Hopes, which is again just basically makes them a little bit more efficient. Pretty Wadley. Yeah. Removed 1 of them. Still two to go. Of course, this one allow opponent with additional draws, and each time that small creature enters the battlefield, which is pretty easy for this deck. So yeah, again, pretty solid deck. It probably could become better. I mean, there is a way to make this deck a little bit better, I would say. At least I would make it a little bit better. It doesn't have everything like, but it's pretty solid. I mean, maybe it's just not the deck that I would build. I would get rid of a couple of History of Benalius. I don't necessarily like this card here. This card doesn't have that many knights in here. So History of Benalia is just basically kind of a destruction. But again, I would put it in an actual knight deck. But I know that lots of people actually putting History of Benalia in every freaking white deck. It doesn't matter if it works with knights or not. This is just the way that it is. Whatever. So, and again, considering the fact, like, I wouldn't be able to drain opponent with Vampire Neonate because it's just too slow. Too slow. Wouldn't be able to remove small guys because opponent had lots of Tristanis. So not enough poison departures here. Opponent removed 1. Second one shuffled somewhere in the deck. The same goes with Trial Prophet. Having only 2 of them, kind of not enough. Having only 2 Tendershrew Drives, we didn't draw any Tendershrew Drives throughout the game. Having 1 Multani, actually drew Multani in the first game, but again didn't had a chance to play it. 2 Lolei Giants, one of the cards that I actually kind of don't want in this deck anymore. It's just not working. It worked like throughout the test for this deck, probably a couple of times, but it didn't work once, even once in the tournament. So yeah. Played finally Arcane Encyclopedia, which is awesome, but wasn't be able to use it because opponents just stole it right away in the game too. Didn't get Son of Release. So again, I just have 2 inconsistent deck, and in terms of removal, I had Rosk's Contempt, only 2 copies, 1 copy of Cast Down, 1 copy of Assassin's Trophy, and that's it. So basically, these are the only removal that I have, and I have 1 mass removal. So even if I would get them, I would remove only 1, 2, 3 threats, and left with nothing. Also, Raska's kind of a good removal, but again, it's not a cheap one, and usually not going to be utilized that well. And of course, with the thing that I had here, of course I could put more removal here. For instance, put Walk the Plank, put this one in play, which would be pointless because opponent had just would basically sacrifice small token. Phyrexian Scriptures could add, but again, I decided whatever. I'm just going to play with whatever I'm going to play with. Stealing one of the opponent's creatures from graveyard would be awesome too, though. But again, this deck is too inconsistent because it has too many things. It's like, again, it's almost like a singleton deck. I mean, like decks, it's almost like deck created for singleton, truly. And usually those decks don't do well in a regular formats. So, yeah, lesson learned. I will continue to analyze this. I will continue to basically kind of talk about this type of thing. Like I will, although I know that there's nothing to talk about my deck, and the only thing that I will do is just each time we're going to repeat the same stuff all over again about what is efficient, what is not, what is bad about my deck, and what's not. But mostly is bad. Um, it doesn't matter if I'm going to repeat myself. I will learn that way, because the more I will repeat and see those mistakes, the better I will know how to make this deck better. I already, by the way, make this deck better. I already have a little bit more stable version of this deck, but it still needs improvement in order to actually play it the way that I want it to play. So, and hopefully till the end of the tournament, like 3 rounds left, we will be able to get this experience, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll win at least one more match and not going to lose with only 2 matches won, and one of them was just basically a dropout, and other one, I guess I just played against relatively inexperienced opponent. So yeah, either way, this sums it up. Nothing to talk about. So the round is going to end in less than 24 hours, so I definitely need to finish this video, upload it, and report the result, because I might lose the opportunity to do it. Yes, so this sums it up. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a boost and invite your friends. If you want more, subscribe and set the bell note. Visit Alex Connects on YouTube. No, wait a minute. First thing, starting from this recording, now MTG Study live sessions are moved from Alex Connects on Twitch onto YouTube, AleksTabletops. So now the place where you're going to view this video, I'm going to stream there. So it's already scheduled, so starting from the next Tuesday, I will start streaming MTG live sessions, MTG Study live sessions on YouTube, AleksTabletops. I'm not going to talk about the reasons why I made the decision here, because it's a short video. I talked about it during the streams. And I will talk about it during the first stream, the reason why I chose this, but basically from now on, we're not going to stream Magic on Twitch. Now all gaming content finally transitioned to YouTube, AleksTabletops, since from now on every content is going to be on AleksTabletops. So including streams with Magic Arena, which is pretty sick. So have a nice day or night, and see you in the next best of 3 direct challenge. Bye.